Hi, this is Not For Your Feet, my sneaker-based art colloquium. Going back into my earlier years of art, such as Advanced Art 1, Advanced Art 2, I wanted to see how I can incorporate my interest in sneakers into my art I was doing. So when I got the opportunity with one of my open projects in Advanced Art 1, I decided to create a mola, which was layered paper, of a sneaker that I was very interested in, which is the Yeezy Boost 350. So this is my first opportunity I got to do this. So coming into this year with this open project, I really wanted to work with physical sneakers apart from what I originally wanted to do, which was painting them. So I saw these pictures online, as you can see on the slide, and I thought, how can I take a sneaker apart and what can I do with the parts? So first thing I did was actually have to do some practice. I found one of my dad's old sneakers that he was done wearing, and I decided to deconstruct it using an X-Acto knife, cutting apart the threads, and seeing how much I can really deconstruct it and what I can do with it. So I used toothpicks to make a more exploded looking sneaker so you can see actually inside. And then I laid out all the parts and saw what they look like. And it kind of got me thinking, what if I took these sneaker parts and turned it into fashion? So then there goes my theme question two, which is how could I use these interesting shapes and sneaker parts to create fashion items? So when I got this idea, along with Mrs. Lopolo's help, I was able to cut out a T-shirt and I layered some of the parts on there. And then I started to think they kind of look like organs. What if I moved toward that type of idea? So I had to do some brainstorming. I had my cutout sneaker and I thought, how could I incorporate this sneaker and its pieces into organs on a T-shirt? First, I had to work with Photoshop, along with getting the right images needed. So I found images of a rib cage, and then I had to place out, okay, what looks like what. So first, what I originally saw was lungs out of the insoles of the sneaker, and then I had to place on a T-shirt. Then I went to Photoshop, and I actually used Printful to customize these T-shirts with the correct positioning for the rib cage, and then I was able to Photoshop these on here before I got them stitched up. And here are the final products. I have one, which is the lungs. The second, which is the heart. I actually wrapped laces around the heart to look like the veins in the arteries. And finally, I had kidneys. And you can see the sneaker tag where it shows the size on one of the kidneys. And finally, here is a little to show what it would look like on someone. Here's Kanye West edited wearing my t-shirt. So as I moved on, I started deconstructing another sneaker which I got, which is size 17. We ordered online, and I began to see that it kind of looked like a construction site. So I thought, how could I use physical sneakers to make real life scenarios with the sneaker as the main object? And here I thought a construction site. So I went to planning. I went, okay, how can I make the construction site be based around the sneaker being constructed? So I had to make a list of who I wanted and if I wanted to make little people there. And then Miss Lopolo suggested Tom Otterness, who was an artist who used these people, they were more brass people or metal people that were doing bigger things in big society. They were little people going around it. So I thought, okay, what if I can make little clay people doing bigger things on these sneakers? So I decided to use the universal man symbol to try to just get a solid clay person I can just continually use. So I kind of factory produced them, really, made the box, cut the legs, all that type of stuff. And then I went on to do a little of the extra things that are going to be there, porta potty, wheelbarrow, all that type of stuff. And here was the final product. Here we have the people standing around it, putting up each section. The excavator. As I moved on, I think question 4 is I wondered how these sneakers that I loved were actually created and by whom around the world. So Miss Lapola actually showed me an article I found which really showed in depth how the people who were creating these sneakers were really treated across the world and how these big companies would pay such little for these sweatshops to create these sneakers. And I thought I wanted to make a piece around that idea. So first off, I started off with creating a sneaker throne and then also using some of the people to create my next piece, which is Here, as you can see, the bigger boss standing on the throne of sneakers as the workers are toppling over each other, trying to hold this organization up when they're the ones who are doing the real work. It's just a little piece of take on how the workers are treated to create these sneakers. And as I moved on, I thought, what could I do with these extra pieces of sneakers that I had left over? I had so many other pieces, all these extra pieces of leather, laces. So I thought, what other things could I make? One of the things I decided to do was based off the iconic Washington crossing the Delaware. I decided to make a remake of that with a sole of a sneaker as the boat. This is the final product based off, obviously, the historic and memorable painting. Some close-ups of the people on the boat. I was only able to fit a couple because the sneaker actually wasn't as big, but. And then I moved on. I actually decided to make a little racetrack based off the leather that is stuck to the insole. And I thought the little lines made it look like a little racetrack, so I created this. Then moving on, my next opportunity to create art, I thought in such an odd and uncertain time, how could I reflect current events into my art? So obviously with the pandemic occurring, I thought, well, mask and sneaker are kind of the same material fabric used, so I thought, why don't I make a sneaker mask using shoelaces as the thing that holds the mask onto someone's head? So my brother, unwillingly, but I was able to convince him, I used him as a model to show the Air Jordan mask, used to protect your face as personal protective equipment. So thank you for listening to my art colloquium, and thanks for watching.